Hello lovely people, how are you all today? I hope you're well. Is it the middle of the night? Have I had a power cut? Not quite. It's actually the morning and I haven't got the lights on. I'm going to put them on in a second. I just wanted to give you an idea of what a glooming day it is today. Oh my goodness, yes, it is another day of relentless rain. What you gonna do apart from do stuff indoors? Right, let me put the lights on. It's a little bit harsh, but this is daft. It looks like I should be lighting a candle or something. Give me a tick. There we go. That's better. Yeah, it is yet another rainy day. We're having loads. Where are we? We're coming towards the end of October. We're in the last week of October. And boy, oh boy, has this month been wet. Now, if you remember a couple of videos back, I mentioned that I'd spoken to our chairman who had, he'd been recording, we've got this little weather station. And in the first week of October, we'd had our average rainfall for the entire month in that first week. Bonkers. And it hasn't stopped much since. Oh, coaster stuck to my teacup. Yes, so in terms of the garden, I was hoping to get things tucked up by the end of October. That's looking less likely now. I've got 1, 2, 3, I think, oh no, get the flint corn out and then it'll be 4. I've got 4 beds that I'd like to get covered, mulched, composted, covered. So whether that happens before the end of October now, I don't know. You know what? Last year, I think I was at this stage at the end of November, so I'm still ahead of my game, as it were, compared with last year. It'll happen when it happens. So yeah, all gardening is off at the moment. Gardening in the rain, you know, if it's a passing shower or a bit of drizzle, then I could probably get on with things. But it's just been so wet for so many days now, underfoot. I mean, it's just an absolute mud bath down there now. And because nothing is urgent, why would I? You know, if things were really urgent, if it was a case of, I don't know, getting the squash harvest in or getting the tomato harvest in or something like that, something that was, you know, if we were being threatened with the cold as well, yes, of course, I'd get on with it. But there's nothing precious, so, you know what, rainy day, let's do stuff indoors. Again, I'm still ploughing through the lavender, I've got a load more to do today. There's always jobs for me to do at home. I've got some more stuff to do for the shop. I'm going to open the winter shop soon. But anyway, I've digressed already. The reason I wanted to chat today is because just in the last few days, whilst I've been at home with all this rain, there are some jobs I do where I finish a job or I'm at a stage in a job where I leave it for sort of 20-30 minutes or so and then come back to it or whatever. So what I've been doing in those little kind of waiting for something, you know, whether it's a cooking thing or whatever it is, I've been on the computer looking at seed companies. So I thought I would share that with you today. Now, this is going to be very UK centric. So I apologise in advance to everyone else, but the principles apply wherever you are in the world. It's a case of you finding your companies. So the companies I'm going to talk about today are all UK based. You know, there's a couple of reasons for me wanting to look at UK based companies anyway, and that is that if vegetables are being grown for seed in this country, it makes sense that they should do well for me because of it's the same country, same climate. Although having said that, looking at this year that we've just had, I know that here in the southeast we've had way more drought than other parts of the country, so a lot of these seeds will be bred for our typical UK summers, which are warm but wet. So for instance, one of the companies is based in Wales. I know that they've had a lot more rain this summer than we have. However, in principle, it makes sense to buy seeds bred in your area, because then you know, just purely from the point of view of climate, that they ought to do well for you. The other reason, of course, is in terms of food miles, I want to reduce my food miles, and my food miles are, well, it's under a mile for me to walk from here to my allotment, so my food miles are 1 mile, let's say, but they're on foot, so they're a carbon neutral mile, unless you count the soles of my shoes. But then I've just had to dump a pair of Converse that I've had for 20 years because they really were, I wore them out the other day, my feet got soaked. There are holes in the bottom, there are holes in the top, but yeah, rubber and cotton, slightly more neutral, aren't they? Anyway, oh my goodness, Vivi, stay on track. So yes, I'm going to be talking about UK companies from the point of view of food miles and climate suitable for me. Now, what I want to say very quickly at the beginning right now is I haven't been looking at these seed companies now because of any sort of COVID panic, Brexit panic, any of that. I've been looking because I made the decision earlier this year to once and for all dump the seed company that I've been using for quite a few years. I've used a few, but the other ones I'd used were sort of little bits and bobs rather than this main company that I've been using. So that's why I've been looking now, just to see what companies are out there, what sort of seeds they have available, etc, etc. And because I've been doing that legwork, finger work, that's why I thought I'd share it with you, so if any of you guys want to have a look as well. Brilliant. So anyone who's been watching me for a while will know that over the years, when did I get my plot? Let's say going back to 2013, I got, I think, all my seeds that year from the Organic Gardening catalogue. And I've talked about them quite a lot over the years. They're actual, the seeds come from someone called Chase Organics. I never worked out the relationship between Chase Organics and Organic Gardening catalogue. Anyway, so that's who I've used over the years. Now, they have subsequently been bought out, I think originally by Dobies, but Dobies is also owned by Suttons. And what I noticed about 3 years or so ago was the catalogue seemed to expand quite a bit. Suddenly, excuse me, I still got a little bit of this chesty tickle. Yeah, suddenly they seem to have twice as many products. It's like, wow, this is fantastic. Hang on a minute, looking a bit closer, they weren't organic. So it was sort of like almost overnight they doubled their range, but they weren't organic. Now, I'll just say very quickly on this note, because I think you all know how I feel and how passionate I am. I garden organically, but for me that starts with organic seed. I only have, a couple of 100 square metres of garden. These seed companies have acres and acres and acres and acres and acres of fields for seed production. If they're not producing seed organically, my little couple of 100 square metres of gardening organically isn't going to make much difference when great swathes of our fields are being sprayed and basically not being farmed organically. So there just doesn't seem any point to me, and I really don't want to line the pockets of a company who are actually now promoting non-organic. Look, it's everybody's individual choice, of course it is. But I think we all do have a responsibility to think in broader terms. That, you know, we drop a pebble into a pond and the ripples go out and out and out, don't they? Let's try to think those bigger ripples and all do our own part. So I'd noticed that about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was really disappointed in them. They still call themselves the Organic Gardening Catalogue, and as far as I'm concerned, they're not, because even 2 years ago I still had the catalogue, and I went through it and I was like, tick, 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 tick. I went back and looked, and half the things I ticked, they weren't organic. So it's like, well, you can't trust it then. So that was bad enough, but then of course at the beginning of this year, when we went into lockdown, the way they handled my compost order I just thought was ridiculous. Now, obviously it was difficult circumstances, and we want to keep supporting businesses. However, they kept their order books open. They kept taking orders, they kept taking people's money, but they kept not delivering. So, you know, it took, I think it was best part of 4 months in the end before that order came, and the bags were ripped, half of it was missing. It was absolutely disgusting. Whereas other companies that I got in touch with were much more responsible during that period, and they simply closed their order books. They said, look, we are going to fulfill the orders we already have, but we're not taking any new ones. Once we've fulfilled those orders, we'll open up the books again. Once we get swamped again, we'll close the books. So there were quite a few companies who were sort of taking orders for 2 or 3 days and then not taking orders for 2 weeks, and then taking orders for 2 or 3 days again and then not taking, but they were fulfilling their orders. So that for me was the final straw, and the whole customer services sort of aspect of it has gone really downhill. It was a small company, they're not now, I just don't think they care. Anyway, so because of that, I thought, right, who am I going to use this year? Now, alongside them, for the last few years, I have been using the Seed Co-operative. Oh look, do you like my little page markers, my little sticky notes, the little snails? These were a little stocking filler gift from Amy a couple of years ago. Thank you, Amy. So I've been using Seed Co-operative and Real Seeds. I think most of you are probably familiar with both of those companies. What I like about the Seed Co-operative is, as they say on the front, 100% organic, open pollinated seed, organic, biodynamic. It's a community-owned seed company. So the seed company is owned by us, as it were. There's full traceability to all the seed producers, so you know exactly where that seed has been grown. There are different classifications of certification in terms of organic, biodynamic. Is it Demeter? There's the Demeter, yeah. These are the various sort of classifications and certifications. So it's all there, all the information you could possibly want. So I've been using those and Real Seeds. I have to remember, I must do the websites for all of these companies at the end. So now the other thing is, I love a paper catalogue. Who doesn't? Because you can pick it up, put it down, browse it, do exactly what I've done and mark the pages of the things you're interested in. However, this time around I'm going to try and do, so this was the catalogue I got for the beginning of this year. I'm going to try and do everything online. I know, the whole, let's save paper. Although I always think, what about computers and their carbon footprint? Oh, it's a minefield, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to try and do it paperless. So that means, I always have quite a good idea anyway. So I've done a very quick sketch. I'll go through this in more detail later, probably just into the new year, because this will change. I've done a quick sketch of what I think I'm going to do with the garden next year. Very similar. Oh, Do you remember the other day I was pointing at the Paprika Peppers when I was doing my clear up, and I said, oh, I've had ideas. So my Paprika Peppers did really well this year, yay! My orange bell did less well. Now the orange bell are planted in a line in front of the cucumbers. The paprikas were planted in a block, in their own little block. And I have heard, it sounds daft, but I have heard that peppers like growing with each other. So what I'm thinking for next year is squishing the cuke frame down a bit and having a block on the end to do my orange bell as a block instead of a row, to see if that makes any difference, see if they'll be happy being all cozied up with each other. Who knows? That may be completely cuckoo, but why not try it? Anyway, so the point is, I've kind of made a list of the seeds I need for next year. So I completely lost my train of thought then, because my head is literally just bounced into the garden for next year. Yes, that's the thing of like not having a paper copy, is you probably need to make your own. You need to make a list, because otherwise you'll start browsing and you'll start buying, and you'll end up buying the same seeds from different companies. So what I'll do, there's 4 companies I've chosen. I'll tell you about them all in a second, and I want to buy a little bit from everyone. I want to spread my business around. Not that I'm a great, I'm no Great Shakes customer, but let's support all these smaller companies with a little bit. Can you imagine if we all gave a little bit of custom to these really small companies and said, "Pah," to the big boys who spray? So I've got my list of wants, and then next to it I've left a blank where I can write which company I'm going to buy it from, and then I can browse, do my computer browsy thing. So I've been having a bit of a look up, bit of a Google. Interestingly, the one thing I have found a little bit trickier to find is organic seed potatoes and onion sets. Onion sets, they may come later because it's the wrong time of year. There's one company who are taking orders for their seed potatoes. I got really excited. I found a couple of companies. I thought, brilliant, organic seed potatoes, really nice varieties. They're selling to farmers. Well, I'm a farmer, but I'm only a farmer for one. They're selling to commercial farms. So instead of buying a kilo of your whichever preferred potato you want to grow, which may give you, say, 14 seed potatoes, they're selling by the 100 kilos. That's more than we could plant on my whole site. What's interesting though is finding one that does do them, and they look like a really nice company. They work out, just to give an example, and this is another reason I'm going to the organic gardening catalogue, comparing like with like. So a kilo, they're actually saying a kilo 1.5, so I've done the maths for us. Have I done the maths right yet? So we can get an exact comparison. A kilo of Cara seed potatoes will cost me £2 from this company. The equivalent at Organic Garden Catalogue, £5.49, more than double. So from £2, it's nearly treble. £2, £5.49. I know who I'm going with. So I think I've got my spod sorted. Right, so who are these companies? So there's the Seed Co-operative, as I just mentioned. Real Seed, who a lot of you will know. One of the things I love about Real Seed is when you get your seeds, you'll get, they often give you a little kind of how to save your own seeds. I love that. They're doing themselves out of business. They're encouraging us to save our own seed. For example, I got my orange bell peppers from Real Seed about 3-4 years ago, whenever it was, the first time. And I've not bought from them since. Well, I've bought from other seeds from them, but not orange bell, because I saved my own. So they're great. Tamar Organics down in, I think they're in Devon, near the River Tamar. Isn't the River Tamar quite a famous river for fly fishing? I'm sure I know it because of fly fishing. Not that I fly fish. My granddad did. So yeah, Tamar Organics seem to have a really nice, good range. Oh, and then a really small company, and I know this is a company that Paul has talked about, Vital Seeds. So like I said, I'll do all the little website links at the bottom of this video. Now, I have bought seed cooperative seeds and had great success. I bought real seeds and had great success. Brilliant. I can't vouch for seeds from either Vital Seeds or Tamar Organics because I've never used them. I've heard of both of them from other people and I've never heard any bad rumblings, so hopefully, you know, they're good. There's one more company I want to mention who, they're a bit half and half, as in some organic, some not. Now that's going to sound a bit daft after what I've just said about the organic gardening catalogue. However, they're a really small company, and the other thing just to say very quickly, sorry I meant to say this right at the beginning, there may be some seed suppliers who, to all intents and purposes, are supplying organic seeds, as in those plants have been grown organically, that land has been tended organically, however they don't have organic certification. It costs a fortune. I mean, it's in the thousands, I understand. So for some of these really tiny companies, it would cost more to get their certification than they make from the business each year. It's a real shame, and I think that's something we should be writing to our MPs about, amongst myriad other things, that, you know, why is it so crazily expensive? If it wasn't so expensive, more people could become certified and we could support them because we know they're certified. So it may be, what I'm trying to say is, look really locally to yourselves too, because you may have a local producer who's doing everything by the book organically, but simply isn't certified because of that cost. So this really small company is called Grow Seed. I'd never heard of them before. I found them because I was just doing sort of searches for organic this, organic that, whatever. And it seems like they're about half and half. But what I did like about them was they talk about being carbon neutral by planting trees. I think it's great they're planting trees. I don't believe in this carbon neutralising, because by the time you've done something bad, just planting a blooming tree ain't going to make up for it. It's like, oh, I had a holiday halfway across the world. Don't worry, I planted a tree. But, I know I'm quite harsh on that, aren't I? But I like the fact that they're planting trees. They have a schools scheme. I think they've got an allotment scheme. A lot of their seeds are grown on allotments, so it does feel like, as a company, it's very community based. I think they are quite forward thinking in those respects, and it makes me think it's the kind of company I'd like to buy some organic seed from and write them a letter to say, I love all these different things you're doing. I really love the organic seeds. Can we see more organic and less non-organic? Let's, you know, let's vote with our pounds and pennies, and let's support companies who are trying, and let's let them know that the very reason we've come to them with our money is because we feel like they're doing the right thing. So yeah, 5 companies to look at, 4 which are organic, 1 which is kind of half and half, but they're trying. That's the sense I get from them. So yeah, I shan't be doing my order yet. It's a little bit too soon in terms of, so for example, what was I thinking about? Oh, parsnips. I was thinking about parsnips the other day. I'm going to see if I can leave one of mine to go to seed. What will be in that bed next year? I was mentioning the other day how It's so tricky, isn't it? Because my garden is in such constant use. I don't really have a lot of space to leave plants to go to seed. But I'd like to see if I can leave a parsnip and maybe the odd brassica here or there. But anyway, parsnip is the one seed I always buy fresh each year. I've tried germinating it from older seed. It's just useless. Now the problem is if I do my order now, the chances are it'll be last year's seed I'll get. So I don't want to do my order yet because I don't want any of last year's seed, I want this year's seed. So I'll probably leave ordering until about January. Likewise, things like seed potatoes, onion sets. Most companies, some companies will take pre-orders, some companies won't even advertise them yet because they simply won't know, you know, what the harvest is like this year in terms of what stock they'll have for next year. That's good. I'd rather a company didn't advertise, because this is the other thing that's happened with the organic gardening catalogue. I've ordered from them before and then it's past the date for sowing something, and eventually, it happened with the field beans, I had an email to say, sorry, we've got no stock. I rang customer services and the woman was so patronising. She said, well, what you need to understand about seeds is if a crop fails, we don't have any seeds to sell. I'm like, I'm a grower. I understand the concept of a crop failing and not having seed. But you shouldn't have advertised them if you didn't have any stock, and you shouldn't have taken my money and kept hold of it for, in that instance, it was about 2 months I had my money. Yeah, because I ordered at the end of August, I think it was, in order for planting mid-October, and it was mid-November before they told me, oh, we'll give you a refund. It's too late. Anyway, oh, they really didn't see me right. Anyway, so yes, there we go. I'll try and do a bit from each, sorry, bang the table. I'll try and do a bit from each company. It may mean that, you know, it's quite fun and exciting too, because there are certain, like say with the squash, I might end up with completely different squash next year. What haven't I had this, what I didn't have this year was Violina and Sucrine du Berry. I didn't have either of those two. So it might be fun to see if I can find those again, not sure. So yeah, I'll end up with new squash to try, and I'm going to add a runner bean in again for next year, because last year in 2019 all my runner beans got eaten by slugs, so I didn't have any seed to harvest. I didn't have any to eat and I didn't have anything to harvest, so I'm going to have to buy, of all things, runner bean seeds. But the reason I want to is because this year the beans were so hit and miss, but all my neighbours' runner beans did fine. So all my gorgeous speciality beans struggled. Runner beans everywhere did fine. So I am going to pop some runner beans in next year as a bit of a sort of a fallback, a fail-safe, because they're lovely when they're really young and little and tender, eat the whole pod. But I also love them for the beans. Let the beans get really fat at that stage when the pods are really tough and gnarly and make you gag because they're so hard to eat. But pod the beans, freeze them demi-sec, and then I can use them like kidney beans or gigantes or any of those other gorgeous big hearty chewy beans in the winter. So yeah, so there'll be some new things for next year, which will be fun. It's always fun to try new things. I've got no idea what I'm going to get from who, how it's going to go, but I'm looking forward to supporting some new businesses and yeah, giving them my money. And then just the final thing to say, I'm going to talk about Brexit for a minute. I'd rather not, but I think it would be remiss of me not to cover it to some degree. I know a lot of you, for instance, are fans of Frenchy seeds, seeds of Italy, you'll know them as. I don't know what's going to happen next year about ordering from them. So I think it's 31st of December the transition period of leaving. I mean, we've left the EU. You know what? I haven't. My heart is still European. Look, half my garden's French. I'm a European. I've got ancient French blood coursing through these veins. I'm a European. Anyway, yes, so I think I don't want anyone to panic, and let's not have kind of the other thing. Please, please, please only buy and order what you need. Don't go mad. Please do not hoard seed. I can't bear that. It's like hoarding food or loo roll. You know, if we all just take what we need, there's enough to go around. So please, please, please don't hoard. Look through your seed boxes. If you've got multiple packets of something or other, share them. Get together with the friends on your allotment site, or, you know, loads of you in Facebook groups, that sort of thing. Swap, share, spread it around. There's enough to go around for everybody if we're all sensible. All I was going to say about, say, Frenchy seeds is, if they're a favourite of yours, it probably is worth ordering before Christmas. Just because, look, none of us know how things are going to be after the 31st of December. So I think that's the only exception in terms of get a wriggle on, do it now. Otherwise, yes, happy catalogue browsing if you still have paper catalogues. Otherwise, get yourselves online, happy online browsing. The good thing about when you're online, as opposed to, so with the Seed Co-operative catalogue, there's no pictures, and there's, you know, just little short bits of information. So I would say, if you've been gardening for a few years, you can kind of cope with this. If you're a brand new gardener, this might be confusing, because I think seeing a picture, it's easier to pick from a picture, isn't it? If you go online, of course you get the picture, but generally if you go online as well, there's usually more information than you get in a paper catalogue in terms of sowing, growing, harvesting, preserving, etc, etc. So yeah, have a Google, have a look, have a browse, have a jolly good daydream, have a bit of a plan. That's the other thing, isn't it? Have something of a plan before you start buying, because like I said, you could easily end up buying, you know, ending up getting the same carrot from 4 different suppliers. You get a bit overexcited, want to try absolutely everything. Just remember, you have got a finite amount of space in your allotment. You can't grow everything in the catalogue. I was going to say, been there, tried it. I haven't. I'm really quite sensible about how much I buy and don't. So yeah, get stuck in, enjoy, don't go mad. Look in your seed tin first, ask friends. Perhaps there are some swapsies to do from saved seed as well. I know that I've got lots of packets of saved seeds set aside for various friends, both on my allotment site and all around the UK. So yeah, I shall enjoy sharing those, and I think there's going to be some shares or swaps coming back my way. Yay! Right. I'm going to get back to my Googling. Which page am I on? I happen to have real seeds on at the moment. Yeah, really, really like them. I like them all. But I'm really looking forward to trying these new 2 companies as well. I need to stop burbling now and get on with browsing. So, you know, in a way, yeah, I hope that's kind of helped in terms of pointing you in some different directions and taking some of the legwork out of it for you. I hope also, you know, that sort of tip about have your list, stick to it, and as you're ordering, make notes that you have ordered so you don't duplicate. And yeah, more than anything, please, 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 let's all be sensible about how much, when, and, you know, sharing when we've got excess. I'm passionate about that. Please, please share if you can. So for now, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. Happy... Oh, It's daydreaming, isn't it? It's pure and utter daydreaming when we're looking at these seeds. Aren't we already picturing magnificent plants in our garden? Oh, please let the beans be better next year. Right, I'm going. I will see you all again really soon. I doubt very much that it will be in the garden with the way this weather is. Never mind. We'll get up to something else another day and hang out with each other while we do it. Until then, please look after yourselves. Look after each other. Look after your seed tin. Have a jolly good sort out. See you soon. Bye for now.